Radiant team ban. G's turn to ban. Seconds remaining.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to ESL One Hamburg. This is going to be from the North American qualifiers. We got more best of threes as compLexity are going to be taking on Evil Geniuses. This is going to be game one. I'm Mike Loris, filling in for MRP because he can't tell time. It's a big problem. Hopefully we're going to educate him on that. But guys, I'm also going to be joined by Franz. Dude, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm doing well.
Hopefully all the audio is fine because this was kind of a last minute situation. But Evil Geniuses versus compLexity. I haven't had the luxury of watching a lot of NA Dota because I've been assigned to a lot of South SA Dota, happens at the same time, but it's my understanding that compLexity are kind of on a tear right now.
Yeah, they've been doing really well in the past few days. I believe they even took a series off of Evil Geniuses in the Star Ladder Invitational, so they're pretty good contenders for this match.
Quick look at the bans. Jakiro gonna get a rather early boot out here. I mean, we usually see Jakiro. I feel like he's most often in that third box and going to be picked up still kind of early. But do you really think this hero is first ban material? I don't really think it is.
It feels to me like Jakiro's really hit or miss, but compLexity, they seem to make it work really well. From the past couple of days of watching compLexity, it seems like they favor these lineups that like to group up and push and group up and try to go for pickoffs as a team, which leads to Jakiro being very useful because he's kind of good in these early engagements, he's good in the early game, and he's exceptional at taking towers. And so I'm not sure if it's Evil Geniuses thinking necessarily that Jakiro's one of the best heroes for a first ban, but maybe just respecting the Jakiro coming out of compLexity Gaming.
It looks like they'll throw a little bit more respect towards compLexity as they pick up the Spirit Breaker first. I think one of the better 4-position heroes to have on your team, but also with that Silencer here that we've seen mixed in quite a lot, and is a hero that you sometimes just need a reason to pick up, at least for right now, going up against a Puck and an Earthshaker. That combo-breaking power of the hero for Evil Geniuses is going to say, yeah, compLexity, you got a lot of initiation power. Shaker and Puck, man, it's hard to actually out-initiate that, except unless you have a Silencer. So, seems like a pretty safe opening for Evil Geniuses. compLexity, perhaps starting things off, more so on the aggressive side of things, but, just barely. Puck, of course, is a great hero to be when you're also facing up against a Spirit Breaker. Very difficult to lock down that hero, even if he is going to be going towards that offlane role, as we have seen some teams mix in, perhaps even more so than mid nowadays, maybe about the same amount.
Yeah, so this Puck is pretty versatile. I mean, his base damage is high, he's got a lot of maneuverability, and so you can place him in the mid, you can place him offlane, I reckon you could even place him in the safe lane. But Evil Geniuses, as you mentioned, they have the combo breaker, Silencer himself, and when you combine that with Spirit Breaker, you can actually take down heroes like Puck. So before Puck has an escape mechanism or an escape item like Yules or BKB or Lotus Orb, Silencer can press global a second before Spirit Breaker lands that charge, and then suddenly the Puck has no way out. He gets followed up by the Spirit Breaker ultimate, and it's a pretty easy kill when both of these heroes are level 6. So right now, compLexity, they showed two pretty big heroes for their first 2 picks, and actually 3 pretty big heroes for their first 3 picks. So right now it feels like compLexity are going for this very team fight oriented lineup. You still have the Puck for split push, but certainly I believe that in a fight without global silence, Evil Geniuses look like they're being out team fighted at the moment.
It does kind of cut both ways though. Like, yeah, Evil Geniuses, they do need the global silence if they're going to be able to decisively win in these team fights. Like, just look at the ultimates of compLexity. You don't really have to explain it too much more than that. But at the same time, compLexity's ultimates, I guess with the exception of that Puck, are on a pretty long cooldown as well. Warlock and Earthshaker, Warlock in particular, is so much weaker when he's just walking around and when Evil Geniuses know that the Warlock doesn't have his ultimate. So it is going to be certainly a timing-based kind of game plan here for the complexity side. And for Evil Geniuses, they have already one of the better heroes at dealing with that in the Silencer. The thing that they're perhaps missing, I wasn't going to say the Pugna, but Pugna's certainly great here, is some way to out-initiate complexity, some way to jump in and make sure you're able to grab a Warlock or an Earthshaker, because Spirit Breaker, he's decent at starting fights in the laning stage, but when the complexity side is actually full 5-man, it gets a lot more difficult to actually initiate onto these type of heroes, unless you have a hero like a Bat Rider type of hero, which is still possible, I suppose, but EG going to instead opt for the Pugna first. Netherward, of course, is going to be great at counter versus those team fight heroes, but it's also just a Pugna. It's going to let them take down the towers.
Yeah, so Pugna kind of gives EG a way to force it gives EG a way to push and a way to pressure complexity to defend their towers. And I think whenever your opponent's lineup is better at team fighting than you are, there's two ways to handle it in the draft. Either you go for this more split push, or like more of a lineup that's oriented towards splitting up the enemy team, not necessarily like trying to split them up to like rat towers or something, but just to split them up, just so that their team fight potential is weaker for a moment, and then actually be able to fight them in like smaller fights instead of a full 5-on-5 fight. And it looks like EG are actually kind of going down that route. They pick an anti-mage, so anti-mage is this hero that sort of has to hit the specific item timing with the Battle Fury Manta before he really starts getting involved. And so EG, I think they're looking to sort of stall out the game and prevent the death push coming out from complexity.
I mean, it is looking like it's going to be entirely feasible, because as strong as complexity are in that team fight, as far as killing towers are concerned for complexity, it kind of requires them to win a team fight first. Like, Phantom Lancer does some decent damage to towers. The Warlock Golem, I suppose, is okay, but everyone else for complexity, like the base heroes, they don't really kill structures all that fast. And Evil Geniuses don't really have all that much defense, but for sure the split push speed from the Anti-Mage and his Battle Fury build, the Pugna can just drop a couple blasts on a creep wave and then it's dead, so he can teleport back or keep pushing if he wants to. So it is somewhat of a concern here for complexity that they may not be able to force those fights, and at that point, yeah, they will be kind of forced to disperse away from that 5-man. Try to get the pick off on the Anti-Mage, try to just hold down their lanes. With this Phantom Lancer pick, at least he's a hero that is more than happy to grab Boots of Travel, so they're going to have that kind of mobility response from complexity. But for sure, it seems like Evil Geniuses, as long as they don't get caught in bad spots, as long as complexity aren't constantly smoking for the Anti-Mage and keeping him down, seems like they should be able to stall a lot in this game. I want to see complexity, though, pick up a little bit of a building hitter for their last pick.
Yeah, building hitters are a little bit overrated in the game right now. I mean, if you end up just snowballing really hard and getting a couple of key pickoffs, you can always just hit the tower as a group or use your siege creeps to hit towers. Usually, I think the win condition for complexity right now, if you're in their shoes, is you're thinking about how do I slow down the item progression on the anti-mage while at the same time ensuring that my heroes get enough farm so that when anti-mage does hit his timing, we're sufficiently ahead enough that we can take him on. And Phantom Lancer's not a bad hero against anti-mage. As soon as you start getting a lot of illusions with that diffusal blade, it starts doing a ton of damage to anti-mage. So I imagine whoever plays this anti-mage, probably RTZ this game, will pick up a BKB at some point. And to go on to your point, I think it's kind of tough with complexity's current 4 heroes to kill anti-mage without making a huge movement. They probably need at least 3 heroes to kill the anti-mage right now. The Earthshaker, the Puck, and then some kind of damage source. And so, e.g., they're probably going to notice a huge rotation like that. I think ideally when you play against an anti-mage lineup, you have a way to pressure him in lane, and then you have a way to lock him down long enough that your team can actually show up without having to move so many heroes at once.
There's some extra right-click damage from the complexity side. Again, isn't going to be like an all-star building hitter, but is going to just have another hero worth of right-clicks in. We've seen Monkey King mix in Desolator on occasion, so that's obviously great for pushing down towers. Also great for killing off Anti-Mage. You mentioned that 3-man rotation. You really don't want to, if you don't have to, spend an Echo Slam to kill off an Anti-Mage, but with a Puck, with the Monkey King's damage output, as well as that extra stun from the Boundless Strike, you definitely have what it takes to at least find the X-Mage. Monkey King is definitely an all-star as far as that is concerned. So I like the last pick for complexity. I think I like the last pick for Evil Geniuses, though, a little bit more. Obviously, Magnus, Anti-Mage, we've seen that tear up games time and time again in the past, but this also gives Evil Geniuses a little bit of team fight power. It also gives them just that extra kind of AoE line nuke in that Shockwave. Try to counter push, try to split push complexity, or just try to deal with complexity when they do ball up in 5-man. Evil Geniuses, yeah, as long as they manage these team fights well, as long as Fear doesn't get picked off very early on, which is certainly very possible, then I feel like Evil Geniuses are in a pretty good spot here with their draft. Just stall and then lean on an Anti-Mage to win the game.
Yep, certainly, and you brought up a very good point that the Magnus gives them some anti-push, and it also, I think most importantly, gives them initiation that they were lacking before. Spirit Breaker, certainly a good initiator, but only on a single target, so Magnus gives EG a little bit of that extra team fight for their lineup, especially when the anti-mage decides to fight. And this Monkey King pick for complexity, I kind of like it, so you know, as you mentioned, it provides a little bit of damage, it also provides an extra stun, and most importantly, if you're Arteezy, if you are Arteezy, you are expecting the Monkey King to be missing at about 5 to 10 minutes. So you're not really paying attention to his movements on the map, which means that he can actually be the one setting up the gank for complexity on anti-mage. Because one of the concerns you have for ganking anti-mage is if he notices that there's a lot of heroes missing on the map, his 4 teammates, they're going to make a rotation to try to pressure one of your towers, and if you don't show up to that tower, he knows you're trying to gank them, right? But then when you have a hero like Monkey King, he waits in the trees, and then anti-mage sees maybe like 2 heroes on the other side of the map, and maybe he thinks he's still safe, but really it's the Monkey King that's going to set up the first stun. So I like this pickup from complexity.
The Monkey King is kind of just a hero that's perpetually on a missing in action type of status. And then when you see him, you know that it's actually him, and you're not going to be fooled or anything like that. But for sure, it is going to be a little bit more of a map-wide threat. Taking a quick look at these lanes, it looks like they're about what you would expect, although Universe is playing the Pugna, and it looks like he's going off lane, maybe not completely what you would expect, as it is going to be Sumail, the Magnus, going over towards mid for right now. We have Warlock thinking about making a push up that high ground. Probably would not be a good idea by yourself, bud. So, Pugna going to the bottom lane by himself, Magnus going mid. Do you like this kind of unexpected lane swap? Pugna typically is a hero that can run into some pretty serious issues on an off lane by himself.
So I think this is EG looking at their lineup and saying, this Magnus's item progression is way too important for us. But they really need that blink for that initiation, right? So in order for them to fight those first couple of team fights between 5 to 10 minutes, they need their Magnus to be sufficiently farmed and maybe have that blink. And so maybe they're deciding to make Sumail play the Magnus just to get him a little bit more farm, and I'm sure the offlane Pugna will be fine in this lane. He's got 2 sets of full regen, he's got 600 health, and 335 base move speed, so not in a bad position.
We'll see how much farm they're actually able to get. The Magnus matchup versus Puck. Magnus isn't going to be killing the Puck anytime soon, but for sure is supposed to be fine. In this lane with the Empower, base damage actually quite high, though you're matching up against Puck. Puck's base damage is kind of disgusting. It's up towards top lane where actually a lot of brawling, Crit and Fear trading hits very evenly, and they're actually cycling back and forth really well. Like, the Monkey King has picked up the level 1 Jingu, and of course you need to get those stacks up, but every single time Crit takes 3 shots, Fear takes 3 shots, they just back off, and the Monkey King at that point is working with no abilities because he just can't get those stacks up. So just putting a lot of extra damage onto this top lane of complexity, and the regen already is being pulled out a lot on both sides.
Yeah, as you mentioned, you know, he's doing the EG are doing a really good job of cycling their heroes so they don't give the Monkey King any Jingu stacks, but also Arteezy pushed the lane so that Fear could pull the side lane, so they're doing some great lane management right now.
Well, they messed up for the first time, and now Monkey King with the Jingu is just going to push everyone back. The Monkey King has, I want to say, universally good matchups versus other melee heroes. And for right now, with those stacks up, you can see Arteezy is just like, well, can't do anything about this. I'm just going to go ahead and hide. So that's the whole idea of the lane. Get the Warlock there, you know, poke and prod a little bit, but you just wants to make sure that this Monkey King is able to mess with Arteezy's farm as much as he can. And I love seeing teams just pick up heroes and then just super aggressively, or maybe not super aggressively, but somewhat aggressively mess with the Anti-Mage. Too many games, Anti-Mage, I feel, is given a free ride, and so many times he just ends up winning the game because of it. They're going to charge in towards Moo, but Arteezy, yeah, he's going to deny them the Jingu stacks again. Oh, mid lane. Dire Courier already down. There's a Shockwave, though, will kill off Limp. It looks like they...
It was a little bit of an odd situation there. So Earthshaker came in to gank Sumail, and Limp missed his, or I should say, Sumail dodged the orb from the puck, and instead of going for the Magnus, the puck decided to just go for the courier kill. And so that happened.
Alright, well, still getting first blood on the Magnus.
Up top.
Pretty ideal, and they're going to charge again towards the Monkey King. They'll need a 17% roll. There it is. It's a little bit too aggressive, though, going into this tier 1. Still a lot of damage onto Monkey King. Still, he doesn't have those stacks, so should be able to keep him low.
And
Losing
so
the
I think
puck
this
is never good, but Magnus getting first blood, probably worth the loss of the courier, or at least, you know, not super bad at the loss of the courier.
Yep, Sumail actually just walks back to get his items, and the important thing about for EG right now is their lane is quite strong right now. All of them have at least level 2, so Silencer has 2 spells, Spirit Breaker has 2 spells, so EG can start going on the aggressive and fight Moo.
Moo's still feeling himself on this top lane. Does have the Warlock level 2, although you know, actually using a level 2 Warlock compared to a level 1 Warlock, at least in this scenario, isn't really going to be a huge difference. You're going to charge one more time in towards Monkey King. Crit takes 2 hits. Arteezy takes a handful as well. Boundless Strike is there. Now the Jingu is active, but the damage may have already been done. Arteezy will blink out of there. Crit's going to cycle back in, and Fear just right-clicking the entire time. It costs them a lot of HP, but they do get the kill. They picked up by Fear, gets the intelligence. Nice little win there. Unless Arteezy dies to this Bond. He's dead. Yeah, Bond and Word.
Cool.
Oh, and they wall off Sumail in the mid lane too. He's level 5, but he does not have a skewer. Is that... Yeah, that's a tight wall. Looks like he was actually getting really far in there, but still. Another rotation from Z-Freak. First time gets a courier. Second time actually gets the mag. And ultimately, it's really darn important for compLexity to kill off this Anti-Mage, but killing off him, killing off the mag, it doesn't really get much better than that.
That was a really good sequence of events for compLexity. I think part of the reason why Sumail's getting pressured so much is because EG supports have been locked up top for so long to help Arteezy, and rightfully so. I think this Anti-Mage is the most important hero on EG. We haven't really talked about Universe though. He's getting quite a bit out of this bottom lane, sitting at almost level 5 after this creep wave, so doing more than okay. We will probably see Universe make a lot of space for his team going into the mid game.
Still has a lot of regen for himself. It's mostly because of the Shaker. He's going to be camping out the mid lane a lot more so than the bottom lane. And at that point, Pugna versus the Phantom Lancer, you can do stuff like this, just drop big nukes on him. Though this time will get walled off. He is going to have one Tango to cut through, puts himself in a corner, and doesn't have any more Tangos to cut with. He is going to have the stick charges, will salve up. Seems like Chessie will throw in the Doppelgang and at least cancel that salve. Oh, they're going to go top again? Okay.
Almost.
We're good. We didn't miss anything. Not really. But the Pugna is still going to be able to return to the lane with that Shrine, still have decently full HP, and make this Phantom Lancer's life maybe a little bit more difficult. It really only gets dangerous once the levels seriously come up. Pugna is able to shove back the wave to the Phantom Lancer's tower.
So compLexity are up about 2k gold, and I think a lot of that was the courier kill, and then a lot of that is also the Phantom Lancer. Chessie having a much better time in the bottom lane, not really being pressured as much by this Pugna as Arteezy is being pressured by the Monkey King.
You can see these moves here from Arteezy, just 3 trade hits with Moo until he has 3 stacks, then blink away. Of course, he has the mana advantage, I suppose, with that mana break ability, but yeah, still is going to be able to scrape together a little bit of gold here and there. Probably just waiting for Moo to jump in actually onto Fear. There's a charge coming in from behind, which will push him back towards the tower. Boundless Strike does not kill off the Silencer. Now the turnaround is Moo does not have any mana. Will try to just lifesteal. It won't work. They will end up killing Fear, I think, with Bonds. Yeah, he didn't actually cast Shadow Word, but Silencer down for Monkey King. Not a great trade. And another charge in. Universe doesn't have a ton of mana here. Only has one spell cast. Will opt for a drain. We'll have to cancel it. That didn't really do all that much as Z-Freak also going to rotate in with the newly respawned Monkey King. Definitely a party up on the top lane, and Anti-Mage, ooh, he was actually salving. He's going to get that canceled. Now I think he has to leave the lane.
Yep, yeah, he certainly has to leave the lane, and compLexity are in sort of a good situation even though they lost a hero there, because now Chessie doesn't have to deal with the Pugna bot, gets to pressure this tier 1 bottom. Fear has to get sent down to sort of defend the tower, get the creep waves off the tower, and compLexity are in a position to pressure both top and bottom.
Also able to pressure back mid quite a bit as well. Sumail has gone for a very right-clicky heavy build. He's going to pump fake RP a couple times, but he's already caught with the coil. Z-Freak now coming in. We'll get a free wall. Still there's no skewer, so Sumail's just going to die. I mean, Magnus versus Puck is not incredibly easy for the Magnus. Like, it's still a lane that requires some finesse. Fear on bottom is going to get dove by the Phantom Lancer, just immediately taken down by Chessie by himself. Oh, everyone's dying on EG all across the map. Chessie will doppelgang away from the life drain. He'll be just fine afterwards. But these lanes are rough, and giving this Magnus the mid lane with the intent of kind of catapulting him to higher levels of Empower, faster Blink Dagger, seems like it may not be working out as EG would hope.
Yep, if you're EG, you're thinking, how do we stop the bleeding, and how do we get more farm on our DZ and more farm on our cores, because they're not really in a position to fight. I mean, compLexity's lineup right now, it feels like they scale a lot better for this stage in the game. Like around level 6, when they have all their ultimates, they're much stronger than EG, so EG sort of have to figure out how to get the anti-mage in a lane where he can bop creeps for about a couple of minutes and then work on that Battle Fury.
He's just working on, at least Anti-Mage working on just power treads right now. Doesn't even have the boot component. Up against the Monkey King and the Warlock, you don't really need all that much movement speed. It's really just all about that blink. Still chain stuns for compLexity. Not really strong enough to kill off Arteezy unless he's severely weakened beforehand, and maybe jump in with the tree dance or something along those lines.
I actually do think they can kill him with Fatal Bonds.
With the Bonds, you think? We'll see. He does have the blink out. His crit is going to charge in, bump back Moo. Force out a lot of mana to be spent by these heroes, and they don't really spend all that much themselves. And that Shadow Word and Bonds do quite a bit of damage, and Arteezy gonna have to take the second trip back to the base in like 3 minutes. I mean, usually you want to take 0 trips back to the fountain as Anti-Mage.
They almost killed him, but luckily for Arteezy, the Spirit Breaker charge stopped the stun from the Monkey King, so he gets to live, but not the situation he wants to be in. I mean, this is the second fountain trip for him, and he's actually suffering quite a bit on the net worth. He's behind his Pugna in 6th place.
That is not really where you want to be. That's not really where Fear wants to be. My bad, guys. Limp with his rotation is going to show up towards top lane. Didn't even use the coil, which means maybe he's going to be able to help out Chessie as he does cancel his TP on the bottom lane, just opting for this tower to be destroyed instead. And this is such an aggressive push from heroes that you wouldn't really expect aggressive tower destruction out of. And now Anti-Mage's space is just going to shrink. He will get a little bit of Empower action from the Magnus, perhaps a little bit earlier than he's ordinarily used to, so I guess a kind of a budget Battle Fury there for the Anti-Mage somewhat, but still this Phantom Lancer is untouched. This Puck is untouched. And now compLexity, they're starting to get a little bit closer to those big level 6s. Warlock just needs to witness 1 more creep kill. Earthshaker just needs like 2 or 3. And then things get really bad for EG.
I mean, EG are going to get severely out-farmed for the next couple of minutes, and they have to think about going into the mid-game. How do we actually start winning these engagements? Because if we don't do anything, compLexity are going to continue taking map control away. They already have the top safe lane tower. Chessie is just going to be a menace in this bottom lane because EG don't exactly have a solution for the Phantom Lancer for a very long time, and so EG have to start thinking about how do we take the next team fight, where do we take it, do we even take it at all, or do we just let compLexity move around the map and we just try to outmaneuver them somewhere else? So EG is certainly in the losing position right now. compLexity are playing against the timing of Anti-Mage's items, and they're certainly winning right now.
They're keeping the Monkey King up towards the top lane as well, just to snipe any foolish support hero that decides this top lane is safe. Anti-Mage has not touched this lane. He's actually, I think, jungled and then straight went back to the fountain. Will TP out now. as he's going to go towards mid, trying to converge on Limp. Shockwave will be dodged, but of course that means he cannot dodge the rest of this charge in, but now you have a chaotic offer, you don't need to dodge. Skewer out is going to keep Sumail safe, but crit, his TP is not going to work out. Shadow Word should not work up against this Magnus to actually kill him, but still, they turn things around, save the puck, kill off the Spirit Breaker. Perhaps not perfect. You want maybe a little bit more of that second kill with the Chaotic Offering, but man, compLexity are not going to complain, because they're really rapidly approaching not one but two Blink Daggers on the puck and the Shaker, while also keeping his Monkey King and his pressure up towards top. Fear is up top lane, but he can't really afford to farm top lane. It's just too dangerous.
Yeah. And so, you know, they lose the Spirit Breaker, but EG are somewhat okay with that because compLexity, they expended 2 ultimates to make that happen. It's a little bit of space for the Anti-Mage, a little bit of breathing room, but will it be enough? I mean, compLexity, they took the mid-tier 1, which opens up the entire jungle for compLexity to gank, and so they actually see RTZ here. They spot him out.
There is an Echo Slam, so they do have that additional stun tool. Z-Freak, gonna see the blink away. Kyle will see the Anti-Mage in his blink position afterwards. They certainly are ready to make this Anti-Mage's life even more difficult. He's been jungling for the past 3 some odd minutes, and within power it's not all that bad, but for sure you still see Anti-Mages in lanes, I would say in like 80% of games with Anti-Mage by this timing. Like he just isn't ready to go out yet, and he's gonna maybe pick a little bit of a fight here with Limp, but Limp actually does show off his Blink Dagger in that mid lane, so EG know about that. Knowing about it and actually playing around it are definitely two different things, as they don't really have that much fighting power back towards a puck should the puck make initiation. They still don't even have Global Silence. Fear's only level 5.
You see RTZ's counterpart, Chessie's just been sitting in the bottom lane the entire time, and he's okay with that because his team is getting so much done. He's getting his farm. He'll be ready to fight the Anti-Mage when the time comes.
Anti-Mage is trying to clear out some Ancients, taking quite a bit of damage in doing so. Do have a handful of heroes still converged on top lane. Ward placed though by Kyle. We'll see pretty much everyone. And they're just waiting for these additional items to come up on Moo. Echo Saber with the Blightstone, and he can kill pretty much anyone by himself on one by one basis. But still, he's just happily farming this top lane. Still, Chessie's happily farming this bottom lane. We have 2,700 gold, man, on this Phantom Lancer. I would still say Diffusal, but saving gold always makes me question if these guys are actually going to make a different item play. Usually, you just buy Diffusal parts.
Yeah, maybe he's thinking about buying a different item, but compLexity, they've done a great job in the early game and the early stages of the mid game to sort of establish a good lead and then take away map control from Evil Geniuses, because RTZ's sort of been scared to leave his side of the map. He's basically been farming these 3 camps for a very long time, and so compLexity, they're positioning themselves in areas where they can continue to outfarm Evil Geniuses, waiting for those couple of key items before they decide to make any big moves.
Like a Veil and running into a half-health Earthshaker. Silver platter kill there for EG as Z-Freak just wandering around a little bit too confidently. That was a smoke gank from both Universe as well as Crit, so they get a freebie in the Earthshaker, and actually had a pretty darn good time too. He's approaching his Blink Dagger pretty rapidly and able to slow that down, but Veil on the Pugna now with maxed out Decrepify, of course maxed out Blast. They are able to do a lot of damage here if the Pugna is actually able to get that full channel off. So maybe EG can leverage this Pugna now, start to get him involved in this game. So right now though, it's the Magnus. Can get jumped on by Moo, immediately skewer out. He'll be fine.
So Sumail has picked up his Blink now. This could be the timing for EG to make a move, and down bottom.
Charges in but gets swarmed with these mana draining illusions. Now the Chaotic Offering onto Crit as well, with another Purge and a couple more right clicks from Chessie. Well, they'll take him down and also Purge off that Decrepify with a Doppelgang forward. Another Purge charge used onto Universe. Blast upon Blast will clear out these illusions, but he still needs a little bit more space
Sumail on
here.
the back line.
The Chaotic Offering's doing a lot of damage here. Sumail does come in and skewers in the Warlock, but even if they kill off the Warlock, it's a Warlock. Who cares? Top lane is still being pushed in the meantime. Chessie is at actually full HP, and they only get the Spirit Breaker, but it was all in the efforts of space creation because they took down the top tier 2 at the exact same time. EG, they can't actually answer this Phantom Lancer, at least not right now. They need an RP to land.
They need an RP and they need the anti-mage to be in a position where you can actually figure out which Phantom Lancer is real, deal with the illusions, and
well, they'll find the Warlock. Again, just actually, that's a killing spree Warlock. That's actually worth quite a bit. But yeah, still Chessy, man. Diffusal Blade shows up in a big way. Uses like all the charges the first fight.
Honestly, if you're EG, you take kills like that, just because you're so far behind, and realistically, you're not gonna be able to get like a team wipe, or you're not gonna be able to get an objective in the near future. So, anything that keeps you in the game is extremely helpful, especially when you're this behind.
Arteezy being chased after by a Monkey King. Takes 2 shots, and man, that does a lot of damage. Echo Saber Blightstone. Real deal here for the Monkey King. Seafreak does have his Blink Dagger as well, as EG, yeah, will walk right into a scan. Oh, and the scan is... That's like the ideal scan right there. It flashes red, then goes green, then flashes red, so compLexity know that there's, odds are, more than one person in that area. Will they actually still catch anyone? Because Moo is in the front right now. They don't have any vision of him yet. He's hiding in the trees. They do scan him, and now it goes green. Trying to catch a monkey in the trees, man. Good luck.
That was just really good positioning for Moo. He knew that if he stood there, realistically, they can't get vision of him, and he gets to break a smoke if they are indeed heading top. And they did head top, so well played by Moo.
He's just camping out right there, just making sure that whoever goes to that top lane is not going to be all that safe. He does see Arteezy blink in. He doesn't still know who's right behind him. It is, in fact, the Spirit Breaker. So Moo's just chilling right now. He'll clean up this creep wave. Arteezy, what's your Battle Fury timing looking like? Pretty soon, actually. So, you know, this does represent the way that EG come back into this game again. It's all about that anti-mage, all about that split farm to get that anti-mage that space. And now that he can actually farm without the Magnus hanging around him all the time within power, maybe the rest of EG heroes can afford to separate and get something done. For right now, though, compLexity. Smoke on Limp is going to break, although the Magnus is going to jump out of there before they can actually come in. So Smoke is not looking like it's going to be successful.
So the problem with EG's lineup right now is that there's so much skill potential on Arteezy coming from compLexity's lineup, especially after they have all of these blinks on the Earthshaker and the Puck. You have a PL who's sufficiently farmed to deal a ton of damage, as is the Monkey King. And so, in a normal anti-mage game, you would see anti-mages cutting waves like crazy, but in order to be able to cut waves, his team has to be in a position to try to pressure compLexity into moving around the map in ways where they can't actually ever assemble to kill the anti-mage. But it doesn't take compLexity a lot to kill the anti-mage right now. So you see Arteezy still playing very carefully. He's here. He assumes that compLexity are grouped up on the right side of the map just because I think a ward spotted them. But otherwise, you know, he's been jungling for most of the game. And so his farm progression is a little bit slowed. He hasn't really forced compLexity to split up, and as a result, compLexity, they're up 5 towers, and EG, they're just going to start getting their first tier 1 at 21 minutes.
Not nothing. At this point, they'll take any single structure they can get. It doesn't look like it's really going to be free, because bottom lane was pushed really hard. Not with any heroes right now, but still creep chip damage onto the tier 3s. Not something that EG can afford to ignore. Same exact thing for the mid tier 2. Except this is actually being pushed by heroes, and it looks like it will be cleaned up by Chess's illusions or creeps, whatever. Still down in favor of compLexity. So, oh, Sumail. Skewer out is going to catch the real Chessy, and that means that there's more lances. That means there's more illusions. With a fissure there, Seafreak's going to jump in for the chain stun. Sumail is going to, yeah, he's going to pop. They do use the global silence, and they will find the Phantom Lancer, do quite a bit of damage to him, but Moo now has arrived with the Jingu. Kyle thinking about dropping that rock, but into the Nether Ward. Not really going to be super fun for him to do so. Global Silence will make it a 1-for-1 trade, and that's a fine trade for Evil Geniuses as long as they don't lose anyone else here. That is still a very long cooldown to be expended from the Silencer, and for compLexity, they still have that Chaotic Offering in their back pocket.
Yeah, I don't think compLexity can push this, though. There's just so much anti-push coming out of EG's lineup, as we mentioned in the draft, and that's a perfectly fine trade for Magnus, or for Evil Geniuses. I mean, trading the Magnus for the top net worth PL, and that puts Arteezy much closer to his Manta. And I actually forgot to mention that Limp has completed his Yule Scepter, so that Global Silence is a little bit less effective against him, and that also means that it's much harder for compLexity to actually land the kill on Puck, at least unless they land an RP or until RTZ starts picking up a Basher, which I don't think he will have for a while. So Limp will be able to continue to split push. He's got a gem, so he's going to do a ton of dewarding. All of the map control is in favor of compLexity right now, just because their heroes are more mobile, they have more towers, and they're 9k net worth ahead.
9k is a pretty good amount for 22 minutes in, above average, I would say. But still, this is really good map control for sure. For compLexity, there is somewhat of an issue that the area that is under their control, like the part of the map they have control over, is not really the ideal part if they want to stop this anti-mage from farming. He still has full access to his own jungle, and so now compLexity are going to make a movement towards that area where they're not going to find anyone for right now, but this bottom lane and the mid lane near that secret shop doesn't actually represent a lot of
big movement coming from compLexity here.
Farm time for the anti-mage. They are going to wrap around and find Crit. It's not really the hero that they wanted, but it's the hero they take. Easy kill on Spiritbreaker. Fear still sticking around top lane, will TP out. And now it looks like compLexity are going to look to get this area of the map under control, the Dire Jungle. That's really how Anti-Mage is going to lean on this Battle Fury and the Empower to get his gold.
I mean, that Spiritbreaker death is just space for EG and RTZ. He gets to farm the right side of the map right now, and I'm pretty sure that mid.
Sumail blinks out, but Mu wasn't even jumping on him anyway, so blinks.
I'm pretty sure EG suspects that since compLexity has spent so much time on the right side of the map, that it's completely warded, but also EG has all the wards on the opponent's left side of the map, and so I think that's part of the reason why EG have sort of been posturing themselves the way they have. However, they kind of had to back out there because the global silence was down, but it's back up now. We'll see if there's going to be a big team fight occurring soon, because I think compLexity, they're starting to think about how to seal up the game.
Well, killing off the global silence is certainly a good way to start. 30 seconds, not the longest timer to be down for a silencer, but compLexity don't expend anything for that kill. They will lose a tier 1 in the meantime. Universe and RTZ getting to work down there. compLexity really go for Roche right now. They do have the Desolator on the Monkey King, so yeah, Roche on is going to be dropping pretty quick, despite how honestly bad Phantom Lancer is versus Roche. Not really sure if EG really care to make a move here. It seems like they'll just have to give this up.
It's really risky for them to fight into the pit there. EG's initiation is very specific. Like, the RP has to be landed on some core heroes, and then the anti-mage has to be in a position to actually kill these core heroes. But at the moment, I feel like if anti-mage blinks in and he's not careful, he gets bursted immediately by 2 or 3 of these heroes on compLexity, even if that RP lands, even if the global silence lands. So not an easy fight for EG to take.
Oh, and that Roche is actually going to give Chessie just enough gold to complete Manta style, so global silence not even all that great anymore, at least versus this Lancer. It wasn't fantastic to begin with, honestly, but it's just not going to stick to now 2 heroes of the compLexity side.
You can see RTZ has a butterfly queued up next, just to give him a little bit more survivability against the Phantom Lancer. And Frick gonna get caught here.
Tries to charge out, but Z-Freak read him like a book. Fissure and
in middle.
And they do have no Manta style on RTZ, but he's just gonna turn around and try to go for Limp. He does have backup coming in, but the backup's coming in here in the form of Mu. Tries to go for Sumail, forces the 4-staff skewer out. The full retreat here is RTZ maybe still hunting for a little bit of puck, or maybe just trying to get into a position where he can farm safely. Bottom lane Universe kind of forgotten about by the compLexity side, or ignored. Either way, still going to be a tower down.
Opening here. This is EG's opening here. They can continue to split. RTZ's going to split wall. His team tries to defend this tower as best as possible, but I don't think this is a fight that EG can take unless someone on compLexity starts backing off, and so I think RTZ is going to continue split pushing.
Oh, RTZ's not hitting buildings just yet. They will start throwing all their spells at this Phantom Lancer, but Phantom Lancer throws all the illusions back at Universe, and now out of mana, this Pugna has to back off. This style of pushing for compLexity with this Aegis is so safe. Like, just let Monkey King land the Echo Saber hit with the Desolator on the tower. Oh, jump in, but Magnus got red with the Boundless Strike. Is going to still skewer a couple of back with the Global Silence and the RP. Looking for that MK. Coil and Echo Slam, though, going to make a nice revenge play, as they will lose MK, but they gain a whole lot in exchange. A lot of stun action going on here for compLexity, but they have blown most of their load. They still have the Chaotic Offering. They'll drop it. Chessie is going to make a disengage out. Arteezy still can chase. He still has that Mana Void, and he's going to find a Warlock, but now get purged up. Chessie will get popped, but that's just the Aegis. That's perfectly fine for him. Stun onto the Anti-Mage. They don't have any more stuns, unfortunately. It's going to be Monkey King and Aegis for that tier 3 tower. Handful of kills. Perhaps not necessarily as great as compLexity we really would have liked, but tier 3 down means Shrines will be taken down. They're still pretty happy with this result.
Yeah, compLexity are happy with this result, but so is EG. They don't lose a Rax. They survive the push, and so without that Aegis, it makes it a little bit risky for compLexity to actually go for a push, since I think EG are now more than capable of actually bursting that Phantom Lancer if they catch him in an RP. So Arteezy, he's going to continue to split push, continue to farm, and hope that the next time that a fight occurs, that he's actually strong enough to help his team win the team fight.
That was even what looked like to be a botched initiation there from Sumail, because he blinked in looking for an RP/skewer, and at the same exact time, just unfortunately, the Monkey King was laying down that Boundless Strike, so ended up getting stunned, but still was able to handle Mu pretty quickly with that RP skewer back. It's going to be a lot more difficult to do that in the future, since Monkey King is looking now at a BKB as his next item. So, just another answer to that Global Silence, which Fear hasn't really been able to use all that much in this game. Just got it way too slowly, and there's been way too few opportunities, and now, at least versus these cores of compLexity, Global Silence isn't going to be that ace in the hole that it normally is still 30 minutes in the game.
I think part of the problem is that when they started losing the early game, they were so behind that even with Global Silence, they couldn't take an easy fight, just because their heroes weren't exactly configured to force compLexity into a fight, since their only initiation was the charge, and arguably two of their lanes were losing. Like, Sumail wasn't as farmed as he wanted to be, and Arteezy got pressured by this Monkey King a lot, so as a result, EG couldn't take any early fights, so you didn't really see the effectiveness of Global Silence kick in, because by the time EG were ready to fight, compLexity had that Yules up on the puck. Their heroes were so farmed that even in the Global Silence, they could still fight. Universe is actually putting a lot of damage on this tier 3 bottom, so...
Yeah, I was just about to say, like, credit to EG where it's due. Despite how rough the early game was, they've managed to dodge a lot of kills. I say that Universe is kind of being stalked by Limp. We'll see if he's able to make it out here, but pretty much all the heroes that... Okay, Universe is in a lot of trouble now. Orbin and Silence. He doesn't have Force Staff, and he will actually dodge the coil. Got out of range with that Force Staff just in time. Limp still chasing forward, though. Gonna check the trees to see if Universe juked in there. He didn't, and now with the bonds, they have a Yule Scepter to cancel a TP. Universe just running out, though, in like a super straight line. Still Limp's gonna cut to in front of him. And now maybe has a chance to TP out. He's still silenced. Can't quite get the Decrep TP, and even if it was going to be that, Chessie was here, so it's going to be a long chase, but they lose Mu elsewhere. As it seems like, was there an RP used? There was.
It's all space in the end, and it also gives Arteezy a chance to cut this top wave, which sort of helps them a lot, because their mid lane is break even. Arteezy's going to push that out, which puts two waves, or two lanes of waves in EG's favor, so they kind of stall out a push for a little bit longer. And Arteezy should have Butterfly for the next fight, unless he decides to save for buyout.
He's still working with a lot of gold. Been very, very safe in this game. He's only died once, and that was, what, like very early on in the game. All the sacrifices, really, for coming out from EG were heroes that kind of are meant to be sacrificed. The Silencer, the Spirit Breaker, those supports, just tanking smoke ganks, making sure the enemies spend spells on those heroes instead of the heroes like Anti-Mage. And compLexity is still with this map control, but you can see this gold lead that they once had. It still is there, but it is slowly but surely starting to shrink as compLexity, they are itching for a team fight, but this is what EG have kind of drafted themselves for. Like, they are using these heroes that they've drafted to avoid team fights exactly in the way they're supposed to be used. Although Crit does have a Shadow Blade, is going to be charging in towards the Monkey King. And that's it. Okay.
That's it, yeah. EG, they didn't have vision of any of the other heroes for compLexity, so it was sort of a risky initiation, especially when that RP is so important for disabling a couple of compLexity's core heroes. I think ideally here, Arteezy picks up his BKB, so he's actually capable of fighting the Phantom Lancer, and then they sort of land the RP on either the PL or the Monkey King Earthshaker. So for now, EG, I think they will just look to dodge a fight. They're not leaving any openings for them, so compLexity can't really go on this either, since EG's just sitting in their base.
And this is not really getting much done here for compLexity. They're farming a couple creep waves, a couple jungle camps here and there, but compared to the farm rate that Arteezy's working with now, all the way in the Radiant Secret Shop, there really is no contest. This is usually going to be broken by like a big item like a BKB or an Aegis cheese, which I'm pretty sure compLexity are just waiting for. Either that or waiting for someone to get really stupid and trying to pick them off, but it does seem like this type of stalled out game state is favoring EG quite a bit, unless compLexity decides to make a move.
compLexity's farm progression is really stagnated. You can see the as you mentioned, the net worth lead is starting to drop, but also their cores, compLexity's cores are not getting any stronger, and they're not.
Oh, Coil onto 2, including Sumail. He does have a BKB. Who's thinking about throwing out some monkeys, but we'll decide against it as they're just going to try to focus down the range racks. Charge coming in from the side with an RP onto everyone. Where's the follow-up? Arteezy's finally going to ride with the Mana Void. Does a lot of damage. That's going to bring everyone low. Not dead just yet, as the Echo Slam's going to turn things around somewhat. They only have the Monkey King so far. Z-Freak, though, will fall in the end, and now everyone is going to fall, actually, as Arteezy shows up big. We'll make it a full wipe. Okay, that is going to be a triple kill for Arteezy, and a really, really nice RP initiation there from Sumail with the Mana Void. That's textbook stuff there with Magnus Anti-Mage.
Really well initiated from EG. I mean, Sumail found almost the perfect RP, and that was almost the perfect timing. I'm sure EG was totally intentional with that timing, because Arteezy came in just in time with the BKB, which made him immune to the Echo Slam, immune to the counter initiation from compLexity, and they take a great fight, and I'm pretty sure this puts them in a winning position now. I mean, compLexity don't exactly have an answer for a BKB anti-mage. They can certainly deal with the anti-mage when the BKB is down, but if EG are careful with how they take their fights, I'm sure they have the wave clear advantage and the team fight advantage now.
We'll see if this is actually going to impact compLexity in the way they're approaching this game, because for the past 5-ish minutes, they've been just wandering around as a 5-man group. EG have been kind of defensively 4-manning, but Arteezy's been out on his own. If compLexity decide to change up their strat, do you think that's actually at all viable, or do you think like still 5-manning is the only way that they have to actually still take this game?
I mean, first of all, it feels like compLexity sort of jumped the gun there. I think they were thinking, hey, we sort of need to end the game sooner than later, and they put themselves in a little bit of a weird position instead of maybe going for a Roshan or going for pickoff on anti-mage. But now, instead of doing what they were doing before, which was sort of like camping in front of EG's base, pressuring them, making sure that they were staying in their base, they have to find a way to catch this anti-mage alone, really, because the only way they kill him is if they get him without his BKB on. Then
like this. Maybe. Arteezy does have a lot of backup here. There's a silence as a fissure. Z-Freak jumping in as well. Lots of damage with the RP in response, and now with the BKB popped, Arteezy just going to go to town. Instant double kill. Moo has dropped the circle of monkeys, and it will do a lot of damage to Arteezy, but not quite enough to kill. And that's going to be no casualties for EG, although Limp looking to make it 1. Can't quite catch up to crit. They lose the Lancer and the Shaker, and they, well, drop the Anti-Mage low, I guess, but Arteezy still survives, and EG win another team fight.
Yeah, really well played by EG. I mean, they smoked behind Arteezy there. They were sort of just baiting Arteezy. I think they understand just how hard it is for compLexity's lineup to kill Arteezy, especially since so much. Yeah, double damage Roshan at 36 minutes, classic. But so much of compLexity's damage comes from Phantom Lancer being able to hit the anti-mage without the anti-mage's BKB on, and
they'll take down Roche, find a Warlock in the area.
EG aren't gonna let compLexity hit Arteezy for free, especially since they have 2 of the best counter initiators in the game. You have Magnus, you have Silencer. It really makes it hard for compLexity to burst down this anti-mage, and I think their game plan now is to try to catch him out when he's alone, or catch him out when his team's not able to help him. But
well, this is in theory the time. because there is no RP on the Magnus. Still 30 seconds out for that. 40 seconds off their global silence. Yeah, they do have the Aegis on the Anti-Mage Cheese on the Mag, but like this is still, I want to say like the best chance that compLexity have of actually making something happen. Losing Z-Freak though is not a good way to start that off. Yule's Scepter will not save you here, and that Shaker in the wrong spot of the map. Another casualty as EG now skyrocket to a 9k lead of their own with tier 3 down in the bottom lane. We'll start taking all these shrines.
I think EG just recognized after that tier 3 that there was no reason to sort of push the racks and just back up, wait for your ultimates to come back, kill all the shrines, get the lanes out. Because I think they're in a comfortable position now. I mean, the first 30 minutes were in compLexity's favor, but after that team fight, and after the sort of events before the team fight, which is compLexity's farm stagnating, I think it sort of really propelled EG, or really propelled Arteezy into the top net worth by 10k.
It's still so difficult to find this anti-mage, let alone kill him, and of course with this Aegis on him, I want to say it's just impossible for compLexity to actually do that. If they are going to find the anti-mage, he will definitely have backup in time for his second life. So compLexity now kind of on the defensive side of things. Arteezy still playing exactly as he has been. No boots, no problem. You have Blink with Arcane Rune. He will just start shredding all the waves. He kind of just wants compLexity to go on him because he knows that his backup is not too far away. He's fairly tanky, and he's got BKB, he's got the Aegis now, fresh Abyssal Blade. So if he finds any one guy out and alone, Arteezy can definitely put him down.
Certainly. And EG also pick up the gem on the Spirit Breaker, so they can also have the warding advantage. I mean, the odds are against compLexity, but it's not impossible. I mean, Phantom Lancer is more than capable of doing a lot of damage to Anti-Mage. The question is like whether or not he's actually able to in these team fights, and I think EG are probably aware of that, so they're going to try to position themselves well, make sure that compLexity don't have the vision necessary to win these team fights. But I can certainly see in like an ultra endgame scenario that the Monkey King MPL will outcarry the anti-mage.
Mage on the front lines takes all the spells that compLexity has and only loses about a fourth of his HP with Aegis. Not a big deal, just gunning for the racks. Mid lane in the meantime, still being pushed in by Universe. Yule's Scepter just stall. Arteezy, please stop hitting our buildings. But Arteezy is actually going to stop hitting the buildings, so he decides to hit the creeps instead. Maybe mana burn him out with those illusions, but no, they just walks in, takes racks, and walks back. compLexity now facing down a 15k disadvantage. Arteezy still will do the exact same thing. They need to find an angle onto Sumail, they need to find an angle onto Universe, really anyone who's just not Arteezy at this point. They got to take out those kind of defensive heroes, and Limp's going to jump right in onto Sumail. Can they bring him down? Force Staff's out, still has the BKB. The initiation coming in from the Monkey King now as he's trying to focus down Sumail first. Does pop the cheese, and Sumail will survive. Arteezy pops Limp in the background, and now he's going to find the Abyssal onto the Phantom Lancer. He will doppelgang out, but Arteezy's still hot on his tail, still has that Aegis, still very comfortable in this fight. He's going to blink backwards instead. Going for move with another strike to take him down. Jesse and Z-Freak looking for the Echo Slam. He's getting stunned though, he can't cast it! It's an ultra kill for Arteezy, and Earthshaker just sitting there stunned the entire time, cannot cast a single thing. GG well played is called. And that is how you play Anti-Mage Magnus.
I mean, compLexity, they played the early and mid game incredibly well, but I think where they failed was they weren't exactly able to, because they were grouped up in front of EG's base, and because EG made it really difficult for compLexity to actually chase around the anti-mage around the map. Arteezy was able to hit that item timing just in time, the butterfly BKB, to win that team fight decisively for his team, and I think from there the EG just won the game. But compLexity also with that first Aegis and with that second high ground attempt, I think maybe they jumped the gun a little bit, or they just didn't handle the situation correctly. But really well played by EG to take game one.
Well, this is going to be a best of 3, and it didn't really look super convincing for Evil Geniuses. For sure, compLexity did have their moments in this game, so game 2 is, I wouldn't expect it to be at least just an immediate walkover, making it a 2-0. compLexity definitely can put up a fight, as we have seen here. But guys, we have a little bit of an interesting scenario, since the caster is supposed to be on this game, not me, is actually ready. So the stream is going to be going down for a little while. Rest assured you won't miss anything, though. I'm Mike Loris. I'm off. Franz is still going to be here, though. He's going to be joined by MRP, so don't panic. Game 2 between EG and compLexity will be back. Stay here. The stream may be off, but rest assured it is coming back online. We'll be right back in just a little bit, guys.